friends. He's from Iran, but he is now in Stockholm, Sweden. And he was telling me about some of the things that he was surprised about in Sweden. He said, you walk down the street and everything's so clean. Everybody looks like they're out of a furniture commercial. He said, instead of the police harassing you and threatening you with jail, they say please and thank you. He said, I think, something's happening to me where I don't want to leave. And I said, well, could you leave? And he said, no, because I'm, in this process of getting refugee status. And I said, oh, you have Stockholm Syndrome. Right? So you guys have heard of Stockholm Syndrome before, right? It's when you get kidnapped by someone, you're taken captive, and you're held somewhere, against your will. And yet, over time, you begin to develop affection for your captor. You might even come to love the one that took you captive. And so I was talking to him, I said, this is what happened to you. You escaped a horrible, bad place and are now in a place that's a little bit closer to heaven. And I was thinking about Stockholm Syndrome, and I thought maybe the reason people get Stockholm Syndrome is because they came from just really bad friends and family. It's like, my dad always yells at me, this guy asked me how my day's going. Right? Maybe she's thinking, oh, he's so attentive. He's always checking on my roped up hands and ankles and make sure they don't chafe too much. Today he got me a special sandwich. I might be tied up in a basement, but he is amazing. There's something that happens when we come from a bad situation and then we're in a slightly less bad situation and we say, this is great. This is how I want it to be. Maybe that's how people get Stockholm Syndrome. And I was thinking about this Stockholm Syndrome. I thought of it from a different angle, and I thought about people, individuals, maybe sometimes ourselves, we put ourselves in situations where we are taken captive by a bad habit, by an addiction, by fear, by shame, by a bad relationship. And we know it's bad. Our friends tell us it's bad. This is not a good situation. But it numbs us. It feels comfortable. And at least it texts me back. And I'm wondering if you're taken captive, if you're a prisoner, maybe somebody can get you back. But what happens if you willingly choose to be a captive? You stay there. And you're stuck. And even though you want to leave, the reality of change, the scariness, the fear, keeps you in this bad situation. We live in the lie, we live in the shame, we live in the sin, in the fear, the addiction. And yet part of us is calling out to be rescued. And so what happens when there is somebody that's taken, they're kidnapped, usually the captor, they'll call. And what do they want? Money. They want money, they want a ransom. So there was this movie, it's an old movie, over 20 years old, called Taken. You guys know the scene?
Yeah.
Liam Neeson, he says, if you want ransom, I have to tell you, I don't have money. What I do have is a particular set of skills. Skills acquired over a lifetime. skills which make me a nightmare for you. And so there's something about us when we are caught and we are captive by something of our own choosing. When we know we can't save ourselves, we're calling out for someone like that to come in and rescue us. And for me, that's been Jesus. Jesus was the one that went and knocked down the doors to free me from the darkness of my own creation. And I think there's something about surrender and saying, I have a problem and I need somebody's help, that changes everything. It's the first step. Anybody been to AA? It's like admitting that you have a problem. Admitting that you have this need. Admitting that you can't control your own self. And that's how we're set free. Thanks.